Never let it be said, I don't listen to your feedback, because I've been listening to your feedback and I am adjusting the plan ever so slightly again for the new Lego City layout. And don't panic, I have booked an adult. Matt is going to be coming to help me cut some of the wood so that we can get it in shape. But there was a comment on the last video, and I really should have thought of this myself, because we've got these couple of extra tables. There's one there, there's one I've already disassembled and put away. But obviously at that far end of the room where we've got the city going against the wall, I'm going to have my skyline, and then we're going to have the wide raised area for the train track to go under, and the big skyline view, the big like centerpiece skyline view of the city is all going to be at the back of the room. But that piece of wood was too long. Someone, and I think probably more than one person, several people quite rightly said, I could have 3 tables width at the end there. We could go wall to wall at the very back there and put the existing wider raised platform on, and actually have that raised area go across the full width of the room, because we don't need to get around it. We only need to be able to get up the sides of the city. I don't need to be able to stand here, is what I'm getting at. So we could basically shovel everything away, get that table in so we've got the full width, get some of the wood in, get the thing in at the far end, and at least get the back end of the room set. And then when Matt comes to help me, it's going to be one evening this week. If we basically leave it so that that end of the room is done and we can get the Lego back down that end and realistically get most of the city layout in, the city downtown area in, and just leave this area not quite ready to go, where we need to trim some wood to shape. Matt's going to come and help me trim the wood. I say help. Matt's going to come and trim the wood entirely by himself while I stand in the corner trying not to get hurt or dusty. But Matt will come and help and do that. And then we're almost there. And I feel energized and ready to go. And I know some people are probably really fed up of me rearranging the Lego City and it basically becoming a woodwork and DIY channel rather than a Lego channel over the last couple of weeks. But in all seriousness, the process of breaking down every stage of the process with you and asking for feedback at every step is what's bringing out the good ideas. This layout came from the comment section. Going full width at the end of the room there came from the comment section. Having the build area came from the comment section. So it's worth doing. And those of us who are part of this process now, especially, of course, those of you over on Patreon, but everybody who's getting involved down in the comment section throughout this rebuilding process, we as a collective can take all the credit in a year's time when new people are coming to the channel and saying, wow, this is an incredible Lego City. What a great layout. You'll know you were part of it. Let's stop waffling and move some tables. Someone said I love the sound of my own voice. I've been a full-time content creator for like 10 years. Yeah, I love the sound of my own voice. That's why I do this job. Task 1 is a simple one. Clear everything from that end of the room so that I can get the wood up there and get the raised platform in. Right, I've cleared this end. This end. I was just about to put the other table in, but forward planning, I have new lights. Because at the moment in here, we've got these proper lights in these 2 corners and then these rubbish lights that basically do nothing in the other 2 corners. My plan for these 2 is to have them here pointing down at the build area. So I've got some light in the build area and have a light like this in each of the 4 corners, which is what is in that box. But what I might be doing is moving that light as well, because I'm hoping, and I haven't checked, but I'm hoping there'll be a remote control for this one. And if I can have the ones that will be a little bit harder to get to on a remote control, that would be super. It's not the end of the world if I can't, but I definitely need to get that one out and get this one in before I block it off with a table. So that's the next job. Hopefully this is easy to do. I mean, I've set these ones up. It can't be that hard. Again, past Kev is giving himself an awful lot of credit there. When I say I set those up, I mean I carried them from the car and then let Matt do it. So trying to do these ones on my own is a new level of adult independence, which you'll see in a moment I have already failed at. But we've got one light up. Now we're getting tables out of the way and trying to get the wood down that end so we can start shifting stuff around back down this end. Well, we're making progress. Frustratingly, my new lamps are just USB connections on the end, and I don't have any USB plugs with me, so I figured I could just stand it on there. It does extend a little bit further, but for now it's fine there rather than trying squeezing it in the side. And to be honest, I'd probably be more likely to try and magnet it to the wall or attach it to the wooden frame we've got back there rather than try and squeeze it down into the gap, but it's fine on the table for now. But I ordered some USB things, so I won't be able to have it lit today. But what we have got is these two boards in, and these are boards that are actually going to be here because these are exactly the same length. That one is slightly wider than this one. We have another one exactly the same as that one that can go on the end of it. And then the rest of it is where we need to get a little bit mix and match with different widths and things, which is what I'm going to need Matt for. But this end is not going to need to change. So I've taped it in provisionally. I'm going to get the raised platform on at that end, which I think at the moment my plan is to not cut the wood. We'll see how big it is. We might change our minds on that, but get the raised platform in. And then once that's in, everything that's going to be on the raised platform, so the big stuff in particular, can go up there and get out of the way, which is going to give us a little bit more room to work with so that we can get the rest of the room rearranged, because we need to get these tables all straightened out again, get the wood on so we know exactly where we need to cut. And these two tables that are kind of just floating at the moment will be coming on to the end of this as well. So we need a little bit of extra table on the end there, which I actually think is probably going to be cut, and it'll be in the middle. So we have the two long pieces at either end and the smaller piece in the middle is the plan, I think. But regardless of what happens, these two pieces of wood don't need to move ever, ever, ever again. Never, ever, 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 ever again. So I am going to find where I've hidden all my legs, which I think are under here somewhere. There they are. We're going to grab the legs. We're going to use a lot of them because remember, one of the motivations behind the entire redesign in the first place was this literal same piece of board that I'm putting back on was starting to bow because there was too much weight on it and not enough support. So I've got about 30 of these legs and it's the only raised platform we need. So if I don't use them on this, I'm going to have to store them somewhere. So I may as well put a lot of legs on, just making sure I leave space for the train track to come through. But that's the job now. Get a raised platform on. Lovely stuff. Oh, and by the way, that's how much clearance we've got on each side from the tables. And actually, the ones that aren't these, we've only got, I think, 3 of these double width tables. The smaller tables, we can pull apart a little bit and have the gap in the middle as well. So we can adjust that when we're making final adjustments. But yeah, I like the way the end is in. Let's get the raised platform on.
As much as I want to maintain my reputation as a botching numbskull who just makes things up and gets things wrong, what you saw me do at the start there was actually measure where the train track is going to go so I don't put legs in the way of where the train track is going to be. When I'm adding train track in a few videos' time, call me out when it doesn't fit. I did measure.
Oh, look at it. It's like it was made specifically for this layout. Let's go and inspect. It fits absolutely perfectly, even to the point where the legs fit down onto the table, but that is rock solid. There is no movement on that. Every leg, they're adjustable height legs, so every leg making full contact. I've tried the spirit level on it and it's completely level front to back and side to side. And I think I'm brave enough to put my most expensive Lego sets on it right now, even without Matt the grown-up checking it. So I think in order to start getting stuff out of the way, we're going to get our city skyline up where it's planned to be. So that's the Avengers Tower, the haunted house, the Daily Bugle, the town hall, all the really tall stuff is going to be going on the end there at the top with a row of road in front of it. I think long term, we are going to take train track off of it. We're not putting any train track on it for now, but I have got all of the train track bridge stuff that I got from Trix Bricks a little while ago that gives me the option to either run like a monorail or even run a train that goes from there down to street level. But we're not worrying about trains now. We're just moving Lego. So I am going to get some Lego on the back there, and then I might get the track underneath it as well. And we could potentially, anything that's on these two pieces of wood here, we could place. We could get a lot of that bulk out of the way. I've just had a text from Matt. He's coming tomorrow evening after work. So if I can get as much done before then as possible, so he can literally just come in, slice the 2 bits of wood that need slicing and leave me to it, we could genuinely, by the end of this week, have a layout again. Wouldn't that be nice? I'd love to have a layout again. Right, I'm moving some Lego and just hoping. I do have one fear with the new layout, and hopefully it's an unfounded fear. But where we've had Lego placed on a back edge before, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to do the raised platform rather than just having it run to the edge of the wood and then drop. But obviously I'm putting a lot of big expensive sets on the back here. There's no wall behind it anymore. If they slip back or tip or get a big shake and wobble and fall, they're just falling off. That is just a sheet and it's a big open gap behind them. There's nothing there to stop them falling off, whereas in the past they would have just banged into the wall. Like I say, it's one of the reasons why I wanted the raised platform there, because I'm less likely to, from this end, stumble into the table, knock the whole thing and knock them off, because we've got that little bit of separation with them being on there. There's a lot of clearance between the edge of the platform and the edge of the table, so the chances of the platform sliding off the back and falling are slim but never zero. So we are going to have to monitor that as time goes on to make sure this doesn't creep back and back and back and eventually fall. But yeah, I think that's just my irrational, autistic mind panicking about every potential disaster scenario. And I think we're probably going to be okay. Crossing fingers. Let's move some Lego.
This might be the most productive day I've ever had in the Lego City. I did not expect to be at the point where I was moving Lego in this video, but as you can see, we are moving Lego and we have a skyline at the back there that's starting to take shape.
No placement is permanent just yet, but there we have an example of what I've been trying to describe to you all along. So we have our row of modular buildings at the back there. The only row of modulars like that will be in the entire city now. No more just modulars in a row, shelf city kind of stuff. So we'll have road plate and stuff in front of them, and then limited retaining walls. We'll have trains that go underneath, 2 train tracks. And then the middle here is going to be the proper downtown area of the city, which I can probably get the majority of the buildings into the shape for now. Obviously, we can only go as far as where this piece of wood goes. But if we can free up as much of that end as possible in the half hour or so I've got before I have to leave today, that sets us up very nicely for Matt coming tomorrow, and then I can finish things off. And I am looking forward to things being finished off. It's very exciting.
And this next time lapse is very much split in two. This first half, as you can see, I'm very carefully following my plan, putting out roads, and at this point, fully intending to do a layout on the back there. And then I got about halfway through, I think to about here, and I realized actually the priority is to get as much Lego down that end of the room as possible so that we free up space at this end of the room where the camera is, so that we can cut the wood when Matt comes and finish setting up the layout. So I kind of abandoned making it pretty, just got it all down there. And that brings us to here.
And there we have the new layout, almost there. Obviously, the buildings and roads and things at that end aren't permanently placed. They're just there to be out of the way for now, and we've still got a few bits and bobs down this end. But to be fair, we are only using about, I would say, 2/5 of our total surface area, a little over a third maybe. And obviously it's all quite spaced out at the moment. I've tried to leave as much space as possible for where the train track's going to be. And this is the problem that we had the other day. So we don't have pieces of wood that fit these gaps at the end to fit these last bits in. But what we do have, this is the 1070 millimeter width. This is the 1030 millimeter width. We do have 2 shorter pieces of wood that are this width. We just need to cut one to size so that it fits there perfectly. And then that larger piece there is 1070 wide. So we need to cut a slice out of that. And then we'll probably put that in the middle, tape it all together, and then we have a flat, large surface area for us to start building on. So the plan is to have the train track go all the way around the outside and underneath at the back, and then have a second train track that goes about halfway along and separates the modulars from the other stuff that's going to be down this end. I actually quite like having the Ninjago thing at the side there. At the moment, we've kind of got the bits either side of the raised platform as below sea level. So we've got the lighthouse one side and the waterlogged Ninjago thing the other side. I don't think it's going to stay like that forever, but it's a handy place to put them for now. And then obviously once we've got the wood cut to shape, which is what Matt's going to come and help me with tomorrow, so I imagine in a few days' time as far as videos are concerned. Once we've got the wood cut to size, my job then is to get the train track in, get the road plates back in, and get an actual Lego layout in once I can spread stuff out properly with roads, with trains, and then it just becomes detail. I think I've got enough Lego to get the retaining wall in all the way across at the end with the tunnels for the train to pass through. I should have enough Lego to be able to do the detailing around the edges of all the curbs, all these little jobs that we couldn't do on the previous layout because the way we had it structured had so much infrastructure. There was so much retaining wall, so much road, so much curb, so much train track. This is much more focused on the Lego and doing cool stuff with the Lego, with less of what I've described previously as the not fun Lego. Obviously, we'll also be able to get the lamps in as well. I've also bought some black tablecloths to go around the edge of the city so that when we're looking at it from side on, we don't have to see all of the unsightly junk that's underneath. And this is pretty much going to be our main viewing area of the city from across this way. And obviously we have the flexibility to then walk all the way around, look at things in more detail. We've got the little camera that we can attach to the trains to get that running around to give us train shots. We've got the magnetic camera mounts. We can mount the camera pretty much anywhere in the room for different shots as well, from looking at it from different angles. And yeah, there's lots of possibility. It's going to look a lot better once it's set up and once it's fully lit, but I am pretty happy with that as an afternoon's work. And I could have done this the other day. I just needed that time to think and that time to read from the comments. So definitely keep your feedback coming in because the comments are super helpful. But I think we are nearly at the end of the grand redesign. And then I'm not changing anything for at least 6 months. Hold me to it. You won't be able to hold me to it, but I'll try. I feel a lot better about this layout than I did about the previous one. And I particularly like the fact I'm going to have all of this building area because one of the first jobs for me to do once we have got the layout sorted and everything in is I'm bringing the loop coaster here and I'm going to build it here. The reason I've held off building it is because I was afraid of building it at home and then having to transport a massive roller coaster fully built. But yeah, first build job actually at the new build table in here will be the loop coaster, which will be motorised and in the city in the very near future, along with Detective's Office, which is sat at home ready to build. Arkham Asylum will obviously be here in about a week or so from this point, or 2 weeks. We'll have Arkham Asylum to go in as well. And we just continue expanding, and we'll be able to get back to expanding the city as the focus for the rest of the year, getting the additional modulars in, adding in the winter village, the Halloween stuff. There's lots of stuff to be done once we get through this period of infrastructure again. So as ever, thank you very much to everyone who backs me on Patreon for making all of this possible. Couldn't do it without you. And of course, thank you to Brick Prize Drawers. Their truck is at the back there. And they are going to be doing a prize draw for the Detective's Office around about the time we add the Detective's Office to the city. So keep an eye out for that. Have a look down in the description for the link to Brick Prize Draws. There's always cool stuff going on there. So like I say, Detective's Office coming soon for them. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I need to go and have a lie down. No more heavy lifting for a while, hopefully.